Hi, it's Scott. ROCKFILE back with another podcast review. Let's talk about 1989's Batman in 4K. If you came for the 4K part of the review, I'll just go ahead and say this is a 5 out of 5 all around. It's got a great amount of extras. It has a great Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and it's a perfect film transfer. There's a little bit of grain, but this looks incredibly better than I ever thought it could. $48 million. It was originally budgeted at $30 million. It's a Tim Burton movie, but an early one from Tim Burton. And no offense to Tim Burton, I remember this being more Tim Burton-y. This is the least Tim Burton movie I think I've ever seen. But as a compliment, he disappears into the movie because this is quintessential Batman. As I told my buddy Chris, this is as quintessential as the Christopher Reeve Superman. I'm watching it last night. I picked it up, $15, the 4K Steelbook. It was during a sale on my birthday last month. It finally arrived. It had been sitting there. I'm like, So I really was going to put on my movie critic eyes, I guess you say glasses, to see this movie for the first time in over 20 years. I haven't watched it in forever. I remember this coming out on VHS back in 1989. It was one of the first ones that you could buy. I think it listed for like $25. Most people had it for $19.99 or less. It sold a zillion copies. Then when DVD came out, then when Blu-ray, and I don't think I've ever owned a Blu-ray copy of it. I think the last time I owned it was DVD. So I haven't watched this movie in well over 20 years. Because when you watch a movie when you're younger and you watch it over and over and over, you think you remember everything about it and you kind of put it in this shelf in your memory and that's where it sits. Well, going back to Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton, Kim Basinger, Robert Wuhl, Pat Hingle, Billy D. Williams, Jack Palance, and the wonderful Michael Gough as Alfred. Plus Danny Elfman's score, songs from Prince. If I have anything negative to say about this movie is the Prince songs are just mediocre Prince songs. They're not great. I mean, they're great songs. They're just not ultimate level Prince songs. And no slack against it not feeling like a Tim Burton movie. No slack against Prince not being at the top of his game. There was a whole lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, not the least of which was that everybody was like, Michael Keaton, really? I remember before this came out. Remember that comic book movies weren't prevalent in the late 80s. They weren't everywhere like they are these days. We had a few bad Superman movies that followed a really good one, and hit or miss there and there. You know, they hadn't made Blade yet. They hadn't made any X-Men yet. Certainly no real Marvel movies yet. And this, watching it now, it is perfect. There is nothing wrong with this film. I remember some people complaining that Jack Nicholson took top billing, but I didn't mind it at the time, really, because I figured it was a contractual thing, and it turns out it was. But Jack Nicholson deserved all the awards he got for this. I'm a big fan. He's also become one of those actors who pretty much plays Jack Nicholson in most movies. He didn't in this one. This is Jack Nicholson acting, and he disappears into the Joker role as much as Heath Ledger disappeared into it. This is a really great Joker. I think Michael Keaton does a great job. I miss seeing Kim Basinger in a lot of movies. She was really great in the movie. Billy D. Williams. All in all, from beginning to end, this felt more like a Batman movie than I've felt with any movie in a really long time. This almost, and I don't mean this as a detriment, felt like they took the idea of the original TV series from the 60s and left all the cheese out. I think it started returning in the next movie and more as they went on until Christopher Nolan got a hold of it. But this is really as perfect a movie as the original Superman. This Batman, remember that the cover of the VHS and the DVD just had the Batman logo. It didn't say Batman. It was black with that gold and yellowish logo. It was incredible. It was that iconic. For a movie to make that much money at the time was unheard of. It was everywhere. It was everything from toys to bed linens, just like Star Wars and few other things at the time. Now everything gets the merchandise. But I remember when it came out in 1989, it was a big deal in the theater, and this 4K took me right back to that. And there was so much of the movie I had forgotten. Little things here and there, how it opened, how I was like, oh, this looks like we're about to watch the origin. Oh, it's not the origin story. I just think everything about it from beginning to end. And I'm not a Batman super fan. I'm not a DC super fan. I just pulled this out because I realized I don't have a high definition or an ultra high definition copy of the film. There was a sale going on. I picked up a copy with something else. The review is forthcoming. And really, I have this big memory of this movie. And watching it last night shattered it. Wow. Batman. Watch it again. You remember it being great? It's better than that. It's better than you remember it. I'm not someone who watched it every year for the last few decades. Like I said, it's been 20 years, and it was fantastic from beginning to end. I think everybody does a great job. Tim Burton does such a great job, it doesn't feel like a Tim Burton movie. The 4K looks incredible. It's a high bit rate. There's no extras on the 4K, but a commentary or two. All the extras are on the new remastered Blu-ray. This came out in a box set several years ago. Then it's available by itself, and there is a 4K Steelbook out. They've released the 4K Steelbook separately, and it was down to like $15 for a deal back in May for my birthday. So I would highly recommend picking up the 4K edition of this film because it looks the best it's ever looked, probably better than it did in the original theater, certainly better than I remembered it. And most of the cheesy stuff that was in the back of my mind obviously came from the next one. I guess I had merged those two movies together. But this movie, taken alone as the first Batman movie in a trilogy or quadrilogy of movies, beginning a much larger superhero picture, it's fantastic. Wow, 5 out of 5. It moves up the list that it was already pretty high on, and the 4K, Warner Brothers did it justice. It looks like a classic film, feels like a classic film, and it's a great version of the Batman character and story. Highly recommended. Top of the list. Really great. Sorry I waited so long to pick it up. I'll think about getting the rest of them. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a spectacular day.